Okay, hello everybody. Just a short explainer video and point you to some resources for how you would add a field or a group, which is a grouping of fields of questions in our SurveyCTO form. There are a lot of resources available, so I'm not going to go into it in detail here. I'll just give you a quick overview for it, and I'll point you to some of those resources. As an example, let me share my screen here. And I'm just showing you what I'm in right now, which is in the SurveyCTO. I've logged in as our HWISE one, but you'd log in as however you are. You would go to the drop-down menu up here and go to visit the support center. You need to be logged in order to have access to all the resources that are there, but it should direct you to the support center. I'm just going to type in add a field. And you see the user community has a lot of resources there. The SurveyCTO resources, there's 660 results for it. I'm only going to see here how to add your first field. Let's do this one. I'm going to click on how to do your first field. It's got a short video. You can follow along with the video, but I don't recommend for our purposes here, you editing your form using the steps in the video. What they do is they use SurveyCTO the internal built-in components to add your field. We've already got a whole bunch of fields added, so this is only relevant when you haven't created a field yet, but the steps are still important. But you'd log in and it talks about the different types of fields that there. Select your field type, text, integer, select one, select multiple, that kind of a thing. What's really handy down here at the bottom of this one is what is a field? What are the different types of fields? You can learn about all the different types. What's a group? A grouping of different questions that appear together. So this is just a flavor for the kind of resources that are available. I won't walk through all of those ones there, but I point you to that as a resource. So let me go to a new share here. I'm going to take a look at our, this one happens to be the EuroWISE form definition sheet. And let me start at the very beginning here. And as I've gone through the training videos, I think I've pointed out before this color of a line, this kind of gold orange color, always starts and ends a group. A group is just a set of related questions that are together. In this case, these would be like our modules. So here we have a module or a group about starting information. There's a number of questions in there. And then to end the group, to tell SurveyCTO, this is the end of this group of questions, this block. This module, we have the end group line, same coloration, but it says end group. In this case, the name of the group is start info. The next one is a consent, but our first one that we have that's HWISE related, begin group, is our water supply and consumption module. So all these questions are related to water supply and consumption. What I'll note here is that related to the resources in SurveyCTO that I just pointed you to, the first column A here, see it says type. This column is called type. This is what type of field we're talking about. In this case, this is a note. So it shows up only as a note. It doesn't list a question. You call it note. That's the name of this particular field. This next one, select one drink source, select _1. That means of all the options that are available in a list here called drink source, DRK source. That's our list that we have over in our choices tab. We should have drink DRK source over on our choices tab. Let me go up to the top here. DRK source, there we go. We have a list for DRK source. See the name, the list name is DRK source. So what it's saying is select one from DRK source, this list over in the choices tab. Now the select _1 means a user in SurveyCTO can only select a single option out of that list of, well, how many of them were there? 9. Of these 9 options, the user can only select one. But there are select multiple as well. Let's see if I can find a select multiple. So a question about well issues. Which of the following problems best describes the technical issues with your well or your borehole? There could be many issues. And so what we want a user to be able to do is select multiple. So select _multiple is the type, the field type, meaning a user can select multiple from this particular list here, well issues. Let's go back over to the choice list and find well issues. Well issues. So a user could conceivably select all of these issues, but it allows them to select more than one. Okay, what other types of fields do we have here? We've got text. Notice that a text field just allows a user to enter in text. So in this case, this text question is, if you own your well and you've selected other, please tell us what other means. If well own, this list of well own should have an other field. There we go. If a user selects 98, they don't actually select 98, they select the radio button option that says other, then call up this new question, a text question, and just fill it in with text. But here's one above it, integer. How much time do you spend each week hauling your household water in minutes? Integer means it's a number only. So we're forcing answers in this case into a number. We're forcing answers into a text response. We're forcing answers into selecting a single option out of well own, or we're forcing answers to, you can select up to multiple answers in a particular list. Okay, so that's what this looks like. I would orient you to the field number. The name over here, the column name B, name, this is the name of your variable. So if you're looking in our data dictionary or you're looking in the code book, time haul is the name of that variable, name of the question. But notice these are all underscores in here. We don't have spaces. You can't use spaces or other types of punctuation, but you can use an underscore. I don't think it works to use a hyphen. I recommend using an underscore if you have multiple words you want to separate. But this next one, field number, that's an auto-numbered. 11, 12, 13, 14. This is the number of question in your survey. But you'll notice up in the formula bar, these are, it's a formula. We don't actually enter, for example, number, it says it's number 11 in field C41. It says it's question number 11. Well, it's actually a formula that says take the previous cell and add 1 to it to come up with the next highest number. So when you add a field, let's add a field in here. Let's right click on we'll select the whole row. Let me do it again. I'll select the whole row. My mouse is selecting row 42. Right click and I'm going to insert. And now it's giving me a blank. It's sort of trying to populate some of it here, but it's giving me a blank field. I'm going to say integer. Now I'm going to start typing integer. And as soon as I enter that it's an integer question, it already has, you see it turned blue. It's populating some formatting in the background. SurveyCTO does this in this Excel spreadsheet to alert SurveyCTO that when you load this form in, only allow answers that are integer. So this will only allow numbers. But if you wanted somebody to be able to enter an alphanumeric code, for example, and manually enter it, integer wouldn't be the one. You'd want to do text. So I'm going to change this to text, and notice it changes the formatting of this particular question. Now you'll also notice that this doesn't have a number in it. It also doesn't have a name. I want to call it something, how about unusual one? I don't know. But I've named the variable now. And because it's text, it's not referring to the choices tab at all. It's just, you can enter whatever, a user can enter whatever they want. But now what I need to do is there's missing numbering here. And I want to add in the numbering. So I would just take as a formula and click on the cell where I want it, and I could click equals, and then it should be the cell above it, +1. And when I hit enter, it should update it. So now it's taking 12, but notice it's giving me a little error here. What's going on? Well, this is not like the other one, so I would want to populate this on down to update the numbering. And then you'd need to update the numbering for the next it only does it by group. You see it ends here. There's no numbering for the end group. So it only numbers questions. And then the next one should be a reference to the previous one. So it's already updated. Now the rest of your questions will be updated. Okay. Let's see here. Then you enter the name of your question. What is the most unusual water situation you have ever been in, for example? Label. It doesn't populate, but notice here, these are also populating. It's just concatenating. It's combining two things together. So what we would do, you notice this is a formula. If you look up in the cell bar, the formula bar, it actually isn't this question. It's just taking these two cells and putting them together. So what I would do is just copy and paste, copy the cell over here, put it in the next one down where it's missing, and say, copy that formula down. And now what it's doing is it's saying concatenate these two cells. Take cell C 42 and put a period and a space between it, and then combine it with the text in D42 to get the answer. That's what it's showing here. Okay, that's how I do those questions for inserting the question. But let's say I'm gonna get rid of all this here. I'm gonna get rid of this line that we put in. Let's say you want to add an entirely new question. I'm just going to go to the end of the survey, but you would find wherever in your survey you want to add this entirely new question. And it's a standalone question. It's not related to the module above it, the group above it. So let's see here. I'm going to go to one that's near the end because it's easy to show all in one place. What we're looking at here is the very last question in our survey is the nature contact question. It's our it's our question unrelated to water, but we need one in there to be able to say that, look, the answers that we're getting in this survey are related to water and not to something else. And this is the way we test that, this nature programming question. But let's say I want to add one more question and I want it to be in its own group. I'm going to need to add a new group, begin group and end group, into wherever I want this one to be. And let's say in this case, I want it to be right after the nature contact question, but before we exit the survey saying, thank you for taking the survey. So I'm going to select again the row, the entire row. In this case, it's row 344. I'm going to right click and click insert. Oops, I don't want copied cells. I'm going to escape. So it doesn't take what I copied last time. I'm going to go back to insert, right click, select the whole row, right click, select insert. And now we have a new row in there. I'm also going to insert another one and another one. Now in this case, you'll notice this group right here, begin group to end group right above the nature contact, has a note in it and the question. So let's say I do want a note. I could add in a note, a fourth one. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the begin group row above it. This is why I wanted to show up on one screen. I'm just going to select that whole row for begin group, and I'm going to bring it down and put it into this row. I'm going to select the cell, not the whole row, but the first cell I wanted to have another begin group. And we want it to be something else. How about last Q? I don't know what the last Q will be, but just as an example, we need to name this group and it has to be a unique name. Let's go to the end group now, select the whole row, copy it, put it in the last cell where you want your group to be, and I'm going to end group. But we're going to call this one last Q, so I need to change it from nature contact. So now I have a group that begins and ends that's called last Q. I'm going to add a note to it. So I'm going to say the field type is note. It already populates, it gets it ready to go. And this is our last question. Thank you for hanging with us this survey. Okay, whatever it's going to be. Actually, I put it in the wrong place. That should be the field label. This needs to be the last underscore Q. I'm going to call the name of this node is last underscore Q. Okay. And I would want to, I don't need to number it, but let's say it's going to be, this will be a yes, no. Would you like for us to follow back up? Okay. So let's call this one, it's a select one because we want them to say yes, no, yes, no. I think it's yes, no plus. And I'm saying we select one. I think we already have a list called yes, no plus. Let me look over in our choices tab. Aha, yes, no plus. Okay, or just yes, no. I'm going to call it yes, no. So we already have a list, and what I'm doing in our question is I'm saying I want them to select one, but I want them to choose from this list of yes, no. Okay, great. What's the name of it? Let's call it follow up, follow underscore up. Now this one I do want to be numbered. So I'm going to remember it's a formula. So I'm going to enter in here equals, select the last numbered question, and then +1. So now it's saying take the whatever value is in cell 340, C342 and add 1 to it. So now it should be 2009. There we go. Good. Okay. Would you like for us to follow up with you when the survey results are complete. Now, again, we want it to concatenate this, so I'm just going to copy this from a previous one because I'm copying the formula over. It's concatenating now 209 in the question, and we're good to go. And if I would do the same thing if we had field labels in Spanish or German or Italian or whatever we wanted. But we're going to call that good for now. Now what we're doing is we have a new group that we just created using the begin group and end group bracketing the rows with a note we added. Don't have to have a note, but I added a note in there. Actually, let me go back to the note. I'm going to copy that formula down for this one so that the note as it shows up, because this is how the field label is what it looks like, but the label is what it displays in SurveyCTO. Let me take it. So now we have the note showing up for the name of this module called last Q, and we have a question that we've entered. That's how we do it. But you could do the same thing. Let's say you wanted it to be a couple of questions. You also want a text question in here. And how about we'll call it follow-up anything else. That'd be too long, but that's how I would do it. Again, the numbering would be the equals the one before it plus 1. And is there anything else you want to share with us before we complete the survey? And I'm going to copy and paste. Let's see if it formula. Okay, good. It kept the formatting pink. So there we go. Now I've entered a text question. Could also be an integer question. Let's see. Let's see. How about integer? And we're going to call it phone num. Again, we're going to call it equals this last one plus 1. Great. Let's see. What phone number would you like us to follow up with you? Maybe what is the phone number you would like for us to follow up with you about the survey results? I'm just spitballing here as an example of what this looks like. Let's see if it copies and pastes the formatting correctly. Good. And now this is saying it's an integer, so it's asking for a number, and you could enter their phone number in that field. So now we have a new module, or in this case, a group. We've started with begin group. We've ended it with end group. We've added a few different types of questions to select one. It could also be select multiple. Could be we've added text and integer. We've also added a note. This is how you go about adding new fields into your form definition. Again, I'll point you to the SurveyCTO resources. There's a ton of resources available for you. The best place to go is being logged into HWISE, into your SurveyCTO account and going over to the upper right-hand corner and going to go to Support Center, and then just doing your search from there. I would also remind you that our shared running document of resources for HWISE SurveyCTO resources for HWISE users. It's that really long, well-organized document. It's got a big table of contents in front. You want to know about something, I often I give you a little information there. We give you a little information there, and then it points you to other resources where you can go to find this kind of stuff. Rich resources that we've compiled, but even more at SurveyCTO. Okay, I think that does it. Thank you, and look forward to answering questions. Bye.